Hello and welcome to Excel Essentials. In this session, we'll be covering the switch formula. Now, the switch formula is very useful because it can combine a lot of nested if statements into just one simple formula. So here we have the expression, and here we have dates, the returned weekday value of those dates, and a result column for us to put what those days are. Now, we could simply do this with a text formula, but we can also have a look at doing this with the weekday value. So we know the 2nd of June is a Tuesday, so we know that Tuesday is the weekday value 3. Now, what we can do from here is we can then kind of work backwards that Sunday is 1 and Saturday is 7. So here is how we will write the formula. So we will do equals switch, and we're going to hit our expression, which is our weekday value. Then the first value we're going to put in is 1. And the result we're going to put in is Sunday. So we're just going to separate these values by a comma in the formula. Now, if we go and do that and just hit enter, we can see that the value 1 has Sunday, but because there's no other matches in that switch formula, then the rest of the values are returned as NA. But if we were to expand on this and we were to do 2, Monday, 3, Tuesday, all of this is just being separated by commas. We can see that it starts going through and adding in additional parameters for us. You can do this up to a total of 126 times, but I don't think we'll ever need to get that far in most scenarios. So if we hit enter now, we can now see that this has started filling in Sunday, Monday, Tuesday for where it can see those values. Now, if we were to go and finish that off and do all of the days, we can do that as well. So we're doing 4 for Wednesday, 5 for Thursday, 6 for Friday, and 7 for Saturday. And once that's been fully resolved, we can now see that all of those values correspond to something. So if I change this value to, let's say, the 22nd of September, 2026, we see that that has returned the weekday value 3, which is a Tuesday. So let's say we have these success codes, and these are what they mean. So what we can do is we can open the formula and we can do switch. You could also use an XLOOKUP to look up these values, which is totally up to you as well. So here we've got our expression, and for our value, if it is 0, we want it to say failed, for example. If it's 1, then in speech marks we're going to say success. If it's 2, then we want it to say warning. And if it's 3, we want it to say retried. Now, if we hit enter, we can see that all of these values exist except the last one. Now, what you could do is have a look at it. You could go, okay, is that the correct value? Is it not? Is there a default value if it's not 0 to 3, for example, in this? And let's say there's a default value where it just says unknown. What you can do is you can go back to the formula, and you don't have to then do all other numbers like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in this example. All you have to do is add a comma at the end, and this is where that default or value 5 here, for example, comes into very good use, where you can put a default value if none of the values and results match. So here what you can do is, let's say we want it to just say unknown, and then hit enter. We now get unknown pop up there. Now if I change one of the other ones to like 852. It now says unknown instead. We've also seen this many a time where we've got students, their grades, and us needing to give a grade due to a percentage. And you could do a nested if, you could even potentially look at a lookup, like X lookup, V lookup. But here we're going to use the switch formula. Now we're going to do equals switch, and the expression we're going to choose is true. We're going for a Boolean value in this because we want it to check against if it is true. So if we choose true as our expression, we're going to now use the value. And here we're going to do if this percentage is greater than or equal to 90 for A, we want the result to be an A. Now if we hit enter, our two values over 90 return an A. Now we can continue and do B, C, D, and F. So if we then do percentage is greater than or equal to 80, we want it to return B. If it's greater than or equal to 70, we want it to return C. And if this is greater than or equal to 60, we want it to return D. And if we hit that, we see we've now got the grades for A, B, C, and D filled in. But for anyone who gets under 60, we want them to get an F. And we can do that by using the same default as we did on the previous example. So we're just going to do comma, and we're just going to put F as the default. And now we have all our grades for all of our students. If you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. Otherwise, stay tuned for more Excel Essentials.